I need you to stop and listen to me for a minute. If you are between the ages of 25 and 35, there is a big lie that society has been telling you. I know I've been taught the same lie, and it is that these would be our golden years. These would be the years where we would have a clear career path, career momentum, we would have the social life going on, financial freedom, we would have it all. But if you're like me, in between the ages of 25 and 35, I'm almost at the end, I'm 33, approaching 34 very quickly. If you are in this decade with me, you know that it's a lie. I mean, let's be honest, it's not how it feels. It doesn't feel like we have momentum. It doesn't feel like things are finally falling into place. I would say it actually feels a little bit like the opposite. So if you are watching this, then you probably feel the same. You feel like you're doing everything right, you're fighting for your job, you're doing everything you can, but you are still burning out and not really achieving the goals you thought you would be achieving in this age. So yeah, constantly wrestling with maybe some anxiety, feelings of depression, definitely being overwhelmed, and keep pushing closer and closer to that burnout. That's something that I've known, I've experienced. A lot of people around me, definitely all the clients that end up with me start from this point in life. And it's not just a feeling. There's a lot of data that confirms it, confirms what's going on. So I want to zoom into a few reports that have come out in this year, 2025. We're approaching the end of the year. So I just wanted to look back on what is new, what research has been done, and what can we learn from that. And also what shows that to us, you know, about these struggles, and what is it actually that we're struggling with, what lays behind that. After that, I'm not just going to look into the problems, I'm definitely going to zoom more into the solutions. So we're going to go into the data first, and then I want to talk a little bit about specifically coaching, different types of coaching, how they can help you. We'll zoom more into the Reinvention Project and the Reinvention Method. And I hope that this whole video gives you a little more insight of what's going on, what you are a part of, what we are all a part of, and how you can navigate through that. So yeah, let's start with the first report that I read was from the 2025 Delloit Millenials survey. Very interesting. It's a very big global organization. And this survey showed that nearly 50% of people in this age group, so 25 to 35, cites that the cost of living and financial insecurity is the number one societal concern, which I thought was very interesting. So it's not global warming, it's not climate change, it's not politics or anything that's going on, it's money. And it does make a lot of sense. I know it's been a big stressor for me. It comes up every now and then. Sometimes I'm a bit more comfortable with it. Either we have more or I'm comfortable with less, and it doesn't really concern me that much, but it is something that I've experienced a lot, and I see with my clients as well. It's a big concern for all of us. Economics are very different. Society is very different from when we grew up. Yeah. So a lot of changes there, and makes sense that almost half of us are very concerned with that. So if you want to have more money, you should just work, right? Well, let's look into that a little bit. So job-wise, how are we doing? 2025's Burnout reports, they show that in this age group, so 25 to 35, this age group is most likely to report high stress due to increased workload and a fear of job insecurity. So we have to do more. There's expected way more from us within our work, from our employees, or if we are self-employed. If you're self-employed like me, then you are your own employee and you know how much you expect from yourself. So it doesn't really matter if you are self-employed or not. Same thing. We put a lot of stress on ourselves. Society put lots of stress on ourselves. You know, this career path, we have to work up the ladder, which is not as easy as it used to be anymore. And a lot of things are changing. If you're in a technical field, you know, AI has come up this year, completely blown up the world, I would say. So there's a lot of things changing, and it makes sense that that worries a lot of people. There's jobs disappearing, there's new career paths coming up, but that means that which I see a lot around me actually, around people around their 30s have to go back to school, learn new skills, do new things, which is not really what they promised us in high school. It will be just choose your education, go to college, get your job, start your career. Works a little bit differently now, so that is the main cause of stress. The result, World Mental Health Report confirms that the overall health loss associated with mental distress peaks between the ages of 25 and 35. So that means that in the summit of all your success, where we are, but the weight of this climb up the career ladder, all these expectations, it causes a loss of self sometimes and puts a lot of stress on us. And it really strains our mental health. I think that's what's happening. So there's a lot of things happening in society, and there's a big difference between what we were taught and what we were shown and where we are now. So if you look at the generation of our parents, they were living in a very different world where things actually went like that. You would start a career, go to college, start a career, get your first job. I know a lot of people that retired after working for the same company or same business for 40 years. That is unheard of anymore. You know, people have to change jobs, have to navigate through a career, change career path all the time. So it sometimes also makes it difficult to talk to the generation before us. Our parents want to teach us something that doesn't work anymore. And we want to learn from our parents, so we're asking questions to a generation that doesn't know our life or this phase in this life. So finding support sometimes also a little bit different. So what does this mean for our generation? It's a bit of a toxic combination, I would say. These high expectations in a volatile economical system, it makes us kind of play catch up all the time. So you're constantly playing catch up, constantly running towards these goals that feel almost impossible to catch. Everything's too expensive. Everything has a too high of a demand for us to stick to. And then we're also living in this always on digital world. You know, the world never goes to sleep anymore. It doesn't matter what time you wake up. There's always a ping on your phone. There's always a new message, new news that you need to know about, be a part of. And if you are a little bit like me, if you are a little bit like all of the clients that I have, then you know that you've tried a lot already. So you probably tried just powering through. It's a mindset thing. I need to just go for it. You've looked into self-care, healthy habits, maybe change your diet a bit, read some books. I know you definitely looked into one of those yoga meditation apps and tried that out. And a lot of these things help for a little bit. Not a lot of them will stick with you throughout this phase of your life, and definitely not throughout the rest of your life. So that's why you keep feeling that loop of, okay, I'm doing better. Oh, it's becoming too much. I'm getting overwhelmed. And then you get in that bottom again where you feel like you're failing, and then you have to approach life in a different way. It's a constant process. It's not a bad process. There is a way to actually do this. I'll get back to it a bit later in the video. But just know that you're not the only one. We're all trying this. We've all been doing it for a long time. And you are not the problem. The approach is the problem. So what we need is a solution that's not just looking into that surface of anxiety, that surface of the feelings of depression, but you need to really look into and understand the operating system of your life. And the solution is there. Why are things happening the way that they're happening? Why are you feeling like you're feeling? Why are you thinking what you're thinking? Where is it all coming from? This is an operating system that we all have. Every human being has it, but this is not something that we've been told in school. Unfortunately, this is not something that they teach us, even though I think they should. And so I want to look into that a bit more. What lays behind that, behind the surface? Where are all these problems coming from? Why are things not matching up for us? And what can we do to make sure that they are? So The great news I have is that there is a proven method to do this. It's called coaching. There's a lot of different versions and options that we'll look into today. But what coaching is really about is the empowerment of going from where you are now to where you want to be. And it teaches you all the steps, all the things that you have to know to find that path, see that path, walk through it, and do that all on your own, and keep doing that afterwards. So let's dive into coaching as a method and a lifestyle. Why has coaching been proven so effective for this generation's problems? The struggles that this generation has. That is because it is future focused and it's an action oriented partnership. So you first have that partnership with your coach, and then after your coaching route, no matter how long that takes, it's very different for every type of coaching, but then you have that partnership with yourself, so you can actually become your own coach and keep applying all these lessons, all these tools that you've had with different areas in your life, different struggles that will come up in the future. So it's a process that's not just specific for that one problem that you are in a session for now, but you can apply it anywhere on any problem that will come up in the rest of your life. So it makes it very broad. The effect is very long lasting, of course, and it's a very different process than you would have with therapy. If you're looking with a therapist or a psychology that is looking into your past, getting answers to why things are happening and making sure that they don't affect you as much now anymore. With coaching, we go from the now into the future. So we kind of stop looking at the why. A lot of the times you already know the why, by the way. You know why you're stressed, you know why you're burned out, and you know why you keep procrastinating on certain things. Just have to admit it to yourself. But anyways, with the coaching, we look from the now, we forget about the why, and we look into the how. So where are we now? Where do you want to be? Get a clear picture of that and understand how you're going to get there. And start taking steps right now if you want to. So there's a lot of research that has been done around coaching. There's a lot of different types of coaching out there. The research is very broad, and usually it looks into just like one type or one specific tool or one specific method. So I've read into a lot of them and made kind of a summary of the things that I've discovered with researchers that went back to 2010, I think, was the furthest I've gone. That's really when this coaching and positive psychology and stuff like that started to come up. So one of the reasons why it works very well is that it's solution focused. So like I said, we're really going to look into a solution and not more into where a problem is coming from. Just a little side note, not saying that therapy is not good or effective. I've went through 3 very hectic therapy rounds in my life, and it's always very important that if you need that, you have to get it. Find a good therapist, find a good psychologist to help you with these topics like actual depression, actual burnout. You definitely need to go through therapy. If you are at the end of it, maybe at the end of your therapy or done, and you feel stuck kind of at the point where you are now and you want to go forward, you don't want to change things, make positive change in your life, that's when coaching comes in and will be very effective for you. So it's solution-based. Works a lot with scaling questions, so it gives you more of an internal feeling of where you stand in certain areas of your life. If we talk about happiness, if we talk about self-confidence, topics like that, scaling, put it on a 1 to 10 scale, really helps with seeing where am I now, where do I want to go to. So another thing, it's evidence-based for well-being. So a lot of studies in coaching, especially the ones using positive psychology principles, show that the process is significantly increases psychological capital. Sorry, tumbled a bit over my words there. What I mean with that is things like optimism, hope, resilience. It really teaches you these things, so that makes it an internal resource. It's not something that you learn, you understand, and you can do maybe in a session or do when somebody helps you out with it, but you actually develop an internal system, an internal resource to beat it. And not just the stress that you have about this one topic, but every time it comes up, you understand what's happening, you know what to do, and you can break through it and move on. So yeah, that's one of the things that makes me so excited about it. And then it builds lasting habits. That's most important, because we all know this feeling. We have this in school a lot. Any type of education that we have, you learn things in class. It's nice. You make a test, you ace it. And then what happens? What do you still remember from all the things that you've learned in high school? Or a lot of the things that we learn in college? We don't keep on using them anymore because you don't really need them, or you haven't really been able to make it, change it into one of those internal resources. It's not really part of you, hasn't become part of you. So that means that you cannot apply it anymore after that. So with coaching, that's very different. And that goes from app-based behavioral coaching studies to long-term interventions. So that proof shows that an effective preventative intervention is what we need. It doesn't just put out the fire, it makes sure that you have your own sprinkler system. So anytime something comes up, you are there to fix it and make sure that the house doesn't burn down ever again. Now, I want to take it one step further into the coaching world, because there's a lot of different types of coaching. Usually they focus very well on a specific topic or a specific problem that people have in life. The coaching that I give is consciousness coaching. And the reason that I love it so much is because it takes coaching to a next level. That's at least how I see it, where coaching always focuses very much on setting goals, on what do you want to achieve and how are we going to achieve that. The extra layer that consciousness coaching will give you is that it will also we focus very much on the who behind that. So it's not just what do you want to achieve and how we're going to achieve that, but also who is achieving this. Who are you? What is behind this facade that we see on the outside, but what actually lays underneath there? It's a very amazing discovery, amazing path to be on with my clients. I've experienced it myself the first time I got consciousness coaching, and throughout my coaching education as well. It's an ongoing process, and it's very interesting, very exciting, very fun to keep looking into who lays behind that. And this is also not just what we look into, but what you will change and what you will form yourself. So that means that you don't only discover who you actually are, but you will take this with you throughout your life, every day after the coaching as well, every day as you go on to life. So that's really what helps people in this dilemma, the 25 to 35 dilemma that we are all in, that I've experienced. Coaching helped me so much in the past 10 years to get through all these feelings of anxiety, feelings of depression, all these hard decisions I had to make, all this self-doubt that I was struggling with, and it kept supporting me over and over and over again. So I think that's very much a difference between a traditional type of coaching and the consciousness coaching. So traditional coaching always focuses on behavior and goal setting. We set SMART goals, those types of tools, which is definitely something in the consciousness coaching that we still work on. We just add on to that, focus more on identity and awareness of yourself and your life and all the topics in life. So a lot of tools that are in that focus on your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your emotional regulation, where it all comes from, how these systems within you work. And it can really, really, really help you out with all the dilemmas I just mentioned. So this is kind of leading up to the method I want to talk about now. So the type of coaching I do is consciousness coaching, and I've really developed this, all the tools that I have, all the knowledge I have about my social work education, my coaching education, the consciousness coaching, and then it all came together and formed the Reinvention Project, which is like my overall project that all of this is a part of. We need to reinvent. We can reinvent ourselves and our lives every single day. And for this, I've developed the Reinvention Method. So that's what I want to zoom into a little bit now, to tell you what is this method, how do we approach these topics, and how is that possibly gonna serve you through life. Okay, the Reinvention Method. Let's get into it. I want to explain the whole method to you, how the whole process works, why I developed it in this specific way. So to start off with that, as you can see, it's a circular process. Actually, it's not a linear process, which makes it a bit different from other methods where you have a starting point, your process, and then your end goal. What you see with this one is that it keeps going. So it's an ongoing thing, something that you learn, that you evolve in, that makes you understand things better, and then take that with you as well. Like I said before, even after you've had your coaching sessions and had the things that you wanted to work on worked on, then there will always be new things, because that's just how life works. So that's why I designed it in this way. It goes on after that as well, because there will be new things coming up in life, new decisions you have to make, new things you want to learn, and this is a continuous growth process. So that's why it looks like this. I'm gonna dive into all the sections in itself and explain a little bit what it means, what that would mean within a coaching session, but specifically what it will mean in your life, because it's a very clear picture of a growth process, which we go to anyways, because as long as you live, you're continuously in development, you're growing, you're learning. Sometimes we do feel stuck, but that means that just in one of these phases, you don't really know what to do or what's going on. So that's why it's sometimes difficult to continue that, and that's that feeling that you have sometimes of being stuck, of getting overwhelmed, like life is on pause maybe. So I developed this method myself. It's a combination of things I've learned from my social work education and all the experiences I had in that, working with people with psychological, psychiatric problems and addiction. Then about 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, I started the consciousness coaching, so I did that education, and then I already had my own business, so I was able to apply that instantly and start coaching right away. So it's been a little while. I've seen a lot, I've learned a lot, and I've really combined those two things together. So it's part of the social work education, it's part of the consciousness coaching, and everything that comes with that, all the things I've learned in sessions with clients as well. And what I started noticing is that it's a very simple process that we go to. And like I said, it's not that you go in different directions within the process. It's just that sometimes in one of these phases you get stuck, and then coaching is a very effective tool to help you through that. So let's dive into it. The first step is observe. Obviously, the first thing you have to do, or that happens to notice that something is wrong or you want something differently, is that you see that, and that you also accept that, maybe. So first we observe that there is a problem, that there is something that needs change. And what we do in this method, in this phase, is that we stop the autopilot and we identify where you are actually stuck, or where you feel stuck. So within the sessions that I do, that we zoom into core energy. So what is the energy that is already inside you, that you have every day when you wake up? There is a lot of energy there, but sometimes we don't know how to use it. And this goes for emotions, for the thoughts that you have. We focus very much on recognizing these and then understanding how you can maybe redirect them or access them in times that you need it. Integrity is also a part of this phase, where you start to learn to be honest towards yourself, be honest towards the outside world about what you want or where you are stuck. That's really the first step. So after that, if we've had that, if we know what is going on, where are you stuck, and how can you kind of redirect that moment or that phase that you're in, then we are going to look into clarify. That's step 2. So you have to really understand what is the problem. Like I said before, there's a lot of times that we want to zoom into why Why are things the way that they are? It's what we do in therapy a lot, what we do with our psychologists a lot. Where are things coming from? We zoom into the past, into things that happened in life. At some point, if you want to really move forward, we need to get a clearer picture of where are we now and where do you want to be. So things that we do here is we discover what drives your thoughts and your behavior. So there's a lot happening, and a lot of it is subconscious. So this is, of course, in the consciousness coaching, there's two things we work with. It's your conscious mind and it's your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, that is like the big engine of our life, where a lot of things happen that we internalize. So this goes for emotions, for limited beliefs, for instance. There's core values that you have that you stick to, and we base a lot of our decisions on this, but sometimes we don't really know, or we're not really aware of what they actually are. So that's the second thing that we're going to do. We look into what actually drives this, where are these thoughts coming from, where are these sometimes limiting beliefs or these beliefs coming from, and what do you want to do with them. So if we have that clear picture, again, integrity is very important because this also helps you setting goals and being able to achieve them. We zoom into story versus isness. So this is a tool that really helps you get a clearer picture of what is, what are actually facts of your situation and what are maybe the stories around that. Sometimes it's difficult for us to see the difference between that. We start believing our stories, especially if there's a whole family or friend group or a whole society that keeps telling us the same stories. Like I started this video, your 30 should be your golden years. And then if it doesn't look like what you thought it would, like to what everybody believes it would be, and then sometimes life's just different. But we cannot change anything within these stories. You have to change it in the reality of life, in the facts of your life. So this is something in the clarifying that we really look into. What is a story? What is actually your situation, so that we can really pinpoint that and then move on from that to phase 3, which is choose. So you have decisions to make always. We don't feel like this a lot of the times. Well, there's one part of it is that it's a bit scary because there's a lot of doubts coming up in decision making. If you have to choose a direction, if you have to choose your education, if you have to choose which job you want to go for, if you have to choose if you want to rent a house or get a mortgage and buy a house, it's all these big decisions, and a lot of the times we do understand how big these decisions are. There's a lot of context around it, and that makes it scary, makes us doubt things. So this is something we're really going to focus on, because now you know what the problem is. You have a very clear picture of what it actually is. We've filtered out all the stories around it. So that makes it usually fairly easy to make a decision on what are we going to do now and where are we going to go. Because if there's none of the fog around it anymore, and this is something we zoom into in these sessions, in this phase, is the context. It's kind of like that window that you're looking through. If you observe your own life, that can also get very foggy. Or sometimes there is like, I usually say there's like stickers on it, and it makes your vision blurry. It makes you see things out there that maybe are not even out there. So we make sure that you have a clear picture. We take all the stickers out, we open the windows, and you know what the facts are, and then it's fairly easy to see that's where the road is, that's where I'm going to go. So context is a big part of this. Decision making is something that we actually practice, because it is something you can practice. If you know how to, and if you have the right tools, then it becomes easier every time that you do it. It's like a muscle that you're training, decision making. And for a lot of people, that muscle needs some training. And one of the tools that I work with a lot is the ladder of power. This comes from the consciousness coaching. It's a tool that helps you ask for what you need in life. And sometimes that's asking the universe or asking your God or whatever that looks for you. It's different for everybody. But the essence of it is that you need to ask for the things you need. And that can be just asking for that promotion and knowing how to do that, what words to use, and understanding why you're asking this, it makes for a very clear and integer question. And you'll see that a lot of the times that means that as soon as you've taken the decision to ask for it, sometimes we don't even need to ask the question. Or if you do, then the person on the other side really understands where it's coming from and why you would deserve that. And it's fairly easy for them to give it to you as well. So that's what we look into in this phase. Consciously direct your focus and make empowering decisions. Especially that, remember that? Because a lot of us don't do that enough. Then the next phase, phase 4, is create. Of course, a word that everybody in the personal development corner of the internet throws this around like crazy. What does it mean within this method? It's strengthen new patterns and build authentic confidence. Self-confidence is something that you'll see when you're at this point of your development, then already you'll have a lot more confidence than when you started and when you started to observe that something was wrong or you wanted to change something. But we keep building on that. There's certain tools that we use for that in the coaching as well. One of them is the art of completion, so we make sure that things are rounded up. We have a lot of loose ends in life, and that can be small things like, oh, I need to go to the dentist, and you think about that 10 times a day. It takes up a lot of mind space. But it can also be things in the house that you need to do, pictures that you need to put up your wall that might make you happy, or these little things that you can do to free up a lot of space, a lot of mind space. It frees up a lot of energy. It frees up a lot of possibilities in life, really, if you don't have to be bothered about those things. Sometimes it's bigger things. I've had people going through divorce and stuff like that, so you need to deal with lawyers, you need to, there's a big task list. But what we do with the art of completion is make sure that you have all the tools to go through that checklist every day. And when you go to bed at night, you can go peacefully because you know everything today was to be done, and I know what we're going to complete tomorrow. So it makes for a very relaxing life, I would say. Create new things, of course. That is a big part of this phase. So now we know what was wrong. We've observed it. You got a very clear picture of what the situation now looks like and where we're going to work towards and how. You made all the decisions on how to do that, so you're pretty far in that process. I would say almost there. You're definitely working on it, and in this phase you'll see that things are changing a lot, and it'll be you changing, it'll be the people around you changing, it'll be situations that you are in will change. Sometimes things don't feel as heavy as they used to feel, even though it's the same thing that's happening to you. That boss yelling at you on Monday, it can be a very heavy thing. You come back home very emotionally, but if you go through this phase and you understand what's happening and you know what you're going to do about it, that's going to change. And even though that boss might still be yelling at you, maybe it won't affect you as much, or you can have some empathy for the situation that she is in, or so it gives a very different view, which makes for you automatically, you don't even have to do a lot of work usually, automatically creating new things coming on your path. You start working, getting inspired to do new things, discovering new hobbies maybe, or new possibilities in life. So it's a very exciting phase to be in. Usually we're very high energy in this phase, and you're in like more of a positive wind that is blowing around you and that you wake up with every day. So it's a very exciting phase to be in. It's one of my favorites, I must say, because there's a lot going on and a lot changing. And then the last one is evolve. So if we talk about change, of course, with growth comes change. That is a positive thing. The word change is triggering for some people because, and internally we as human beings, we are very much programmed to keep ourselves and the people around us safe. And if the situation that you're in now, maybe you're not very happy, but you're at least not dying. And as long as we're not dying, then our, instinctive brain, our internal systems like, okay, so this is where we're safe, let's stay here. So that means that change is always uncomfortable. Evolving is always a little bit uncomfortable. But if you understand what's happening then it becomes less scary. I wouldn't say not, it's always a little bit scary, but it's like a positive kind of scary, like right before you go into the roller coaster, or that night before Christmas, that kind of excitement, it changes more in that emotion. So when we're evolving, that's when you enjoy your vision and live with passion and purpose, because you know where you're going now. You've achieved a lot of your goals already, and it makes you excited to continue this work. And also this evolving is something that you learn, that you start to understand. And it's a phase that you become very familiar with. So that's kind of where I'm at now, that I'm looking for this change. Now, every day I'm like, okay, so what am I still happy with? What does still make me fulfilled? And what do I want to be different today? And it can be the smallest things, and sometimes it's very big. So last year for me, the answer to that was my whole business. I wanted everything to be different. I wanted to cut loose from the things I used to do, because that didn't really... it wasn't my vibe anymore. I didn't really feel connected to that service anymore. And it was a very logical change that needed to happen, because I evolved as well. After I became 30, after I became ill, and then luckily recovered very well from that, that also changes me as a person. It changes me as a coach. It changes me as a business owner. So my business needed to change with me. And that's also, that's when I developed the Reinvention Method. So if you look at the whole picture now, after you've evolved and you're there, thriving, living with passion and purpose, that's not where it's done. Because it's not like, okay, I set these goals for myself and for my business, I have them now. Process done. That's not how life works, or at least it shouldn't, because you need to continue to grow and continue to evolve. So once you're there, what you'll see is that you observe a new thing. Like, I'm on this path, I feel enlightened, I have all my goals, I'm very happy now. You know what would be even better? If I could also, and then that whole loop starts over again. You start observing, what is that specific thing? You're going to clarify what's happening there. Then you're going to make some decisions, choose, set your goals, go for them, create this new thing, evolve into that new person. And then, it's a continuous thing. So when I coach people, if you do like a coaching route with me, we practice this, and usually it's a few times. So it's the baseline for the whole coaching route. But what I usually see is that we go through this loop a few times. And also in different goals. So it could be that with one goal we have it once, that you have a few smaller goals or things that you're very passionate or feel very passionate about, then the loop goes a bit quicker. So that maybe in some goals we have it after 2 sessions, we start over with a new goal. 3 sessions later, start over with a new goal that you get in a week. So it's very flexible process as well, which is what I like. I feel like, especially in personal development, we need this flexibility. It's not a linear process. It has ups, it has downs, it has turnarounds. And I feel like this method can really go with you through that whole process. Or at least that's... what I tried to accomplish with this. So that's the Reinvention Method, kind of a little sneak peek into what happens in the coaching route, what happens in these sessions, what tools we talk about. And yeah, if you have any questions about that, of course, always let me know. Please join the Reinvention Project, and I would love to tell you more about the methods I use, the tools that we use. And you can, of course, follow me on YouTube. I put more longer videos about the things there. You can find me on Instagram at the Reinvention Project. Connect to me. I love to connect all of you. So ask any questions that you have. There's a 10-day challenge that I put out there as well, which gives a little sneak peek into how a coaching route would go. So it gives you for 10 days, every day, a 5-minute video on a personal development topic. It gives you an exercise that is connected to one of these tools I talked about a little bit, just to have a little taste of what is this process. It's also based on the Reinvention Method, so it will give you a little insight of how that goes if you go through this process, if you work on your own goals. And I think that's it for this video. I hope I explained a little bit about the problems that we have in this era. 25 to 35 is what we mainly focused on in this video. some of the new things that have come up in 2025 in science and stuff, and I'm gonna elaborate more on it over the next few weeks in other videos, but I want to keep it with this one. I think this one is long enough now. Thank you. Follow me if you're interested in these topics. DM me, shoot me a message if you have any questions, or if you want to share one of your stories, feel free to comment either under a video, one of my posts, or privately. I'm always super excited and interested in the stories that all of you have to tell, and hope to connect to you soon. Bye bye.